Adamson,
Here.
Bray,
Here.
Cheatham,
Here.
Lurick,
Here.
Ortega,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
Platt.
Here. Thank you. We'll go ahead, if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which we will have a moment of silence for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America,
States of America.
and to the
And
republic
to the
for which it
republic
stands,
for which it stands, one
one nation, under God, indivisible,
With
liberty and justice for all.
and justice for all.
Thank you. We thought that would be appropriate with for the first responders and everybody that is working with this COVID-19 situation. We'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by a motion and a vote. If any member of the council so desires, any matter listed may be moved to a separate agenda item. A, minutes. Council may wish to waive the oral reading of the minutes and approve the minutes from March 5, 2020 and March 12, 2020 budget development meeting, the March 12, 2020 work session, and the clarification and regular council meeting of March 19, 2020. B, payroll and material claims, treasurer's report. Council may wish to consider payroll and material claims for the month of March 2020 and the treasurer's report for the March showing cash and investments as of March 31, 2020. Ashley, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am. What was that?
Go ahead and with your report.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So tonight I'm presenting 2 reports. First, I'm going to present the payroll and material claims report for March 2020. We had total payroll and material claims of $5,678,159. Payroll related claims were $3,711,335. Sorry. $3,711,335. We also had changes in filled positions of an increase of 1 part-time and 1 seasonal for an overall increase of 2 positions. Vendor claims for the month were $1,966,824. And we have large vendor claims listed. We paid iCrib $348,934 for our liability insurance, 50% of our annual policy premium. Core and Main was paid $190,637 for water department meters, fittings, and a materials bid. And Mastercraft was paid $108,770 for other activity for the recreation pool chemicals, as well as the installation of pool heaters, I believe, at the aquatic center. The rest of the large vendor claims total $1,673,743, which explains 85.10% of all vendor claims. We are also working on creating a report to give to council of a breakdown of all of the claims. Our system is actually down tonight, so I was not able to provide that. As soon as I get that report finished, I will email that out to everyone. That way you can do a little bit of research if you have any questions on any of the claims. On the back of our report, we've given you information on our March P-card activity. For the month of March, we had 1,002 transactions for a total of $225,246. and 147 cardholders had transactions for the month. We also had 3 purchase agents with monthly totals greater than $10,000, and the types of expenditures are listed for your review. If you have any questions on those, please let me know. This completes my report for payroll and claims. Are there any questions on that?
Nope.
Thank you,
Doesn't look like
Ashley.
it.
Yep, and then I'm gonna give the treasurer's report for the month of March next. We had total cash and cash equivalents of city monies of $61,211,715. Total long-term investments were $5,036,697 for an overall total of $66,248,412. This amount is down $1,303,873 for the month of March. On page 2 of the report, we have highlighted key receipts for the month. We received airport grants totaling $38,499, transit grants from the state of Idaho for the month of January for $51,826, transit grants federal for February, $99,681, and then the remaining section details the net change in cash and long-term investments for the city. Page 3 of the report is for trust funds. Currently, total cash and cash equivalents are $1,489,150. Total long-term investments, $3,092,770 for total cash, cash equivalents, and long-term investments of $4,581,920. And remember that the trust funds, these are for the police pension funds. So we had total cash receipts for the month of $434,083. You can see we did have a large return of investment capital, which is basically showing that a lot of people refinanced their investments in the month of March, and so they are calling those investments due. One thing that I was going to bring to your attention is that we do have quite a bit of cash held in this account right now, and this cash is needed to cover the police retirement plan. So hopefully within the next few months, we can bring some information to council regarding being able to invest that money, probably with a firm that has a better working knowledge of, you know, what investments are good for the city and what's safe, to be able to provide funding for the police retirement plan and not have to start taking that from taxes. So we had cash disbursements for the month of $51,064 for a net change in long-term investments of a decrease of $403,341 and an overall decrease in the trust fund of $20,323. The next page of the report lists all funds cash balances with their respective change for the month. And then page 5 is just discussion and analysis for council review. Lastly, we have the 5-year trend of cash balances. This report continues to reflect a very strong cash position for the city. I'm just going to go into some detail on some of the negative funds. Transit Urban Fund is negative pending grant. Fleet Management is negative pending monthly billing. Fund 59 is our debt service fund for the animal shelter bond, and that is just pending taxes that will come in the future. And then CDBG is negative due to pending grants. Are there any questions on the cash report?
Questions, council? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for the report. We will move to agenda item C, which is Child Care Advisory Committee appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Edith Wiggers to serve as a member of the Child Care Advisory Committee, replacing Robert Croker, whose term expired. Mrs. Wiggers' term will begin April 3, 2020 and will expire April 3, 2024. D, Housing and Alliance and Community Partnership Board reappointments. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Lori Craney to continue her service as a member of the Housing Alliance Committee Community Partners Board. Ms. Craney's term will begin April 23, 2020 and expire April 23, 2025. E, Human Relations Advisory Board appointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's appointment of Virginia Kelly to continue her service as a member of the Human Relations Advisory Board Committee. Ms. Kelly's term will begin April 20, 2020 and will expire April 20, 2024. F, Pocatello Development Authority reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Heidi Adamson, Chad Carr, and Scott Turner to continue their service as members of the Pocatello Development Authority Board of Directors. All three terms will begin May 1, 2020 and will expire May 1, 2024. G, Memorandum of Understanding TNR Program. Council may wish to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding related to documents subject to legal department review between the city of Pocatello and Best Friends for a $50,000 grant to implement the TNR program. The TNR program will require an addition of a full-time person at the animal shelter that will be dedicated to run the program. H, agreement for a dog kennels concrete project, AG Concrete. Council may wish to approve an agreement with AG Concrete in the amount of $5,000 to install concrete pads in dog kennels at the animal shelter. I, time clock plus purchase of additional licensed human resources. Council may wish to approve purchasing additional licenses in the amount of $12,425 for seasonal and variable hour employees to utilize the electronic timekeeping system and discussed at the March 12, 2020 work session. J, council decision vacation of right-of-way denial for Catslemenis. Council may wish to adopt its decision denying a request by Thomas J. Catslemenis to vacate the public's interest in the existing right-of-way consisting of the north shoulder of Hildreth Road between Interstate 15 and Diamondback Lane. K, council decision, Mr. Moore subdivision short plat, 4105 Hawthorne Road. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the short plat for Mr. Moore subdivision, which subdivides approximately 2.39 acres of land into two lots subject to conditions. The property is located at 4105 Hawthorne Road, Pocatello. L, amended council decision replat of Copper Creek subdivision. Council may wish to adopt an amended council decision to include all of the conditions recommended to council at the November 21, 2019 meeting. M, amended council decision zoning amendment 2909 Poline Road. Council may wish to adopt an amended council decision to allow a 70-foot by 60-foot standalone structure at 2909 Poline Road. City staff reviewed this proposal modifications and has no objections to the change.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, okay, I got a wave here. Council President Adamson, we'll start there.
I would like to consider item G as a separate agenda item. Do I need to make a motion for that, or does it?
No, you
does
don't
it
need
just
to make a
automatically do it?
motion for that. We'll move it to talk about it separately. So item G. Chris,
Yes, I would like to have us consider C, D, E, and F separately. I guess based on what the advice to Councilwoman Adamson, I don't have to do anything about that. I also have, since we weren't able to have our clarification meeting, I also have some information that is not self-evident relative to H.
do you want to pull H off also, or?
Well, I think there's some very relevant information that might be helpful to council, because what is written is not actually a really clear explanation.
So there again, I understand that, but do you want it pulled off?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So council, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda for A, B, I, J, K, L, and M.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Cheatham.
I would move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, I, J, K, L, and M.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Lurick for A, B, I, J, K, L, and M. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Okay, Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Gray,
Uh-oh, we can't hear him.
Gray,
Yes.
Okay, that just took a lag.
okay.
Yes.
Ortega,
Claudia?
Yes. And Stevens.
Yes.
Oh, that's really delayed. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you unmute now? Okay, let's have a discussion on items that looks like, can we just go in order C, D, E, and F?
You're back to echoing, Mayor.
I know. She's muted. We don't know why. So sorry, but C, D, E, and F. Chris, you wanted to pull that off?
Sure. I think that there needs to be some discussion about the fact that we reappoint without ever actually taking new applications. So we really have no idea who else might be a good resource in the community. And I also believe that the people on the advisory committees, since they are theoretically community experts in whatever arena their advisory committee is operating, that they need to be involved and not just at the end of the consideration process, but they need to actually be involved in reviewing applications and making recommendations to you, Mayor, for your consideration. I think we have a procedural process that could be improved.
Mr. Mayor, could I make a comment?
Sure.
Just a kind of a question, I guess. My understanding is that we put out calls for applications constantly, like that's a fairly frequent thing. That it isn't just what's on file, but that we do put out calls.
So let me go over how this works and how it's always worked from, I don't know how long, at least before my time, is when you're serving, we have members that are serving the on the committees. As a policy, we have, if they have an opportunity to serve for 2 terms or 8 years, whichever is greater. This evens the amount of time a citizen can volunteer for the city boards. Terms range from anywhere from 2 years to 6 years, and so that depends on what board you're on. These positions, they're not advertised if they're just a reappointment. If they're a reappointment, we just reappoint if they would like to. We inform them that their term's up, and if they do not want them to be reappointed, then we advertise at that point, but not before then. We have if we have a current vacancy for anything open, means we have a current vacancy, and at that point we do advertise. If there's a resignation, if a term limit happens, if somebody declines to be reappointed, or for a lack of participation, we remove them. That's when we have it go out for application. I receive a letter from them the serving member to either decline or reappoint. or requesting to continue their service. If the citizen requests reappointment, the council is notified which the city council agenda the current serving member's name will appear. If the citizen declines a reappointment, then the appointment process begins. Let's see, the council participates when really truly at this point, you have the opportunity to appoint or not. If a certain council member has some knowledge that the mayor doesn't have with an appointed position, then by all means, we're happy to have the council member talk to the mayor and reach out, but not collectively. But we reach out to the mayor so that maybe the mayor, they know something the mayor doesn't know about the person. And so we would consider at that point. But by state code 50-210, city council members gives advice and approval at this juncture of the selection process. So when a vacancy occurs, either due to term limits or resignation or somebody declining their removal, it's very rare that we remove somebody, but it does happen occasionally. Then we open it up, and that's when you have the appointment or we have applications come in. And so we don't really have an application process if somebody's just being reappointed. All open positions, we advertise for 2 weeks. After that 2 weeks, if we don't have any applications, which oftentimes that is the case, we advertise for another 2 weeks. If that's not, we don't have an application at that point, then what we'll end up doing is we advertise until filled. We just put the application in there that it's open until filled, and we look forward to somebody putting an application. Chris, did you want to say something there?
I do, and then Claudia also wanted to make a comment. So essentially, a 4-year appointment is an 8-year appointment unless the person in the position chooses to make it otherwise.
Yes, that's been the
It's my
policy.
observation. And I'm not comfortable with that. Claudia, did you want to say something?
I think it's a vacancy is when an initial term comes due. So I think it should be advertised because we're basically excluding other community members from being able to participate and be a part of things. We're just reappointing people, whether they've been doing a good job or not, whether they've, as long as they want to stay, they can stay. And I just don't think that that's the way it should work.
Well, I can appreciate that. However, if they're not doing a good job, typically the president or the chair of the committee will mention that and will say something. And at that point, what we'll do is ask them to either be re-engaged or resign or step aside from the position. And so that's what we've always done there. The committees know when they're coming up. We send them notices when a vacancy's coming up and if they need to ask for reappointment or not. Occasionally, actually, often we have people that don't ask to be reappointed, and so we put it out for application. And so it's been a policy for a long time. I don't know. I know it was during Roger Chase's term. I am believing it was probably during Greg Anderson's term and the mayor before that. So, Chris.
Well,
Yes, I guess my perspective is that there are many things that we could do the old-fashioned way. We could still be sawing off people's broken legs with a hacksaw as opposed to repairing them based on modern medical technology. And I am becoming increasingly frustrated, to be perfectly honest, with an answer, a rationale that I am hearing repeatedly, which is that's how we've always done it. Therefore, why do it any differently, or why even examine whether or not there would be any advisability in doing it differently? And I just believe that constant review, that's how good organizations become great, by constantly reviewing themselves. And I find a reluctance in our city structure to do that. And I find that disappointing.
Okay, well,
I
I can
agree.
appreciate that. I think this is a far cry from sawing somebody's leg off as they did in the early 1700s.
It's an analogy. It's an analogy.
Or not, I disagree with that. And with that being said, though, we have a difficult time often to get people to even apply for these positions. Most of the time when we put it out for a application, it will be out for 2 weeks. We'll put it out for another 2 weeks. We'll put it out for another 2 weeks and then leave it open until filled. And so when we have somebody that's willing to just continue on, that's I think why we get it to start with, and that's how it's been going from then on. And so I think it's a discussion that we could have in the future if the council wants to change that up. But this, as a reminder, this is the mayor's appointment, and this is the position here for you to have a discussion if you want to change or vote for or against anybody that the mayor pushes forward with the things. And literally, if anybody has any questions from the names that you see on the agenda, you're more than welcome individually, I wouldn't say collectively, to call and let the mayor know why somebody is not the right fit. And quite frankly, we've had that happen over the last couple of years that we've done that. Roger.
I think Chris has brought up a good point, and I think it is also part of the response of not having people who volunteer very readily. We probably need to go back through and look at all of our positions and see if we're being strategic in who we're recruiting to make a balanced committee, advisory group, because there are different assets that we need. We need better job descriptions. People don't volunteer without good job descriptions. You can find that in every volunteer agency. So I think she's brought up a good point about the intentionality of the process.
So I think that if you want to look at what it says online for the position or for the committee, then I think it's reasonable to look at that and rewrite that if we need to. For example, there are a number of boards that we have that it really truly calls out for different things. For example, tonight you have on here Housing Alliance Community Partners. One member must be a person that's directly assisted by HACP. And that person is actually being pushed forward for that. We don't get a lot of people other than that. And that's kind of in the description that we have to have. Everybody else is at large. Pocatello Development Authority, in their bylaws, it calls for city council, county commission, the mayor, one member with financial expertise, one member from education, and the other 4 or members at large. So we do have all these boards. We could talk about American with Disabilities. We could talk about America or the Animal Shelter Board, the CDBG. All of those have a reason why we appoint certain members, but every board has an at-large membership. And so we can take a look at that in the future of what you would like to see, if the description is what you would like to see, if you think you're going to get some more qualified or more volunteers. I'm more than happy for that. We've got a number of committees that don't have a full committee because we can't get the people to volunteer for it. So I'm more than happy to have that discussion.
Well,
of what that looks like. Well, I don't think we're having it now. I'm just telling you what the process is that we've always followed. We're not going to go through tonight and look at every description in the advisory boards for people to do that, but it's something we can definitely look at.
I'm actually, I just think that we should be opening it up to new people every time somebody's term comes due. That's the only thing I'm suggesting,
Well, I
so that
understand
people have an opportunity. If nobody applies and they want to stay, then we can reappoint them. But what if somebody else wants to do it? And somebody can bring something else to the table, or even a fresh pair of eyes. I'm not understanding the reticence to open it up.
the reticence is when you have applied, it's knowledge or common knowledge that you are there for at least 2 terms or 8 years. We often have people request to stay on a committee where I often say, no, we're going to open it up. And we open it up and we don't get anybody, so then we contact them. But this has been, I mean, it's not a new process that we've been using. I think it'd be more than appropriate for us to take a look at what the description is if Roger thinks that we're going to get more applications, because oftentimes we don't have applications when we have a vacancy. So we're happy to get people to volunteer, and whenever we can get them to volunteer.
Mayor,
Yes. Roger.
there's an old adage that there are no volunteers anymore, there are only recruits. And I would think that we would want to be more intentional in our recruiting. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, and I'm okay with that. And if we have to do, if there's a place for us to advertise better, then we're happy to do that. We put it online, we put it in the newspaper. And so, yeah, I don't have an issue. If we can find more places, great. I'm more than happy to find that, and I'm more than happy to take a look at the descriptions, what's out there, and go from there. So what would the council like to do with C, D, E, and F?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think this is a discussion we could have in a work session later on, but tonight we're addressing appointments and reappointments to 4 different boards, advisory boards for the city, and I would move to approve items C, D, E, and F on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion then by Cheatham and a second by Lurick to approve C, D, E, and F. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Cheetah,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes,
Ortega,
No.
Stevens,
No, and I would like it entered into the minutes that this is not about the people, it is about the process, please.
Okay, let's move on to, thank you very much. Let's move on to G. Council President Adamson.
Yes. Thank you for agreeing to consider this as a separate item. I know the council has discussed this proposal at length, and we have debated the pros and cons, and I believe previously most of the council has been supportive of the TNR program. Right now, at this time, I have some concerns with proceeding, and first, I think we need to consider some of our recent council discussions. At our last budget meeting, we heard a few requests from council members, and the first was that we understand the context in which we're currently making decisions, and that is that we're in a worldwide pandemic where some people are out of work and everyone is concerned about the financial effects from the pandemic. The implication was that we should be giving extra scrutiny to any expenditures, and it was also suggested by one councilman that raises for city employees could even be off the table because of the pandemic. It was also requested that we institute a hiring freeze. And I think if we're doing a hiring freeze, I don't believe we should be implementing new programs that require hiring additional staff. Some of the council asked departments to reduce their budgets by 5%, and a few council members also indicated that eliminating some existing staff may be a possibility. If I were working in animal services, I would be very confused by these conflicting messages. On one day, they're hearing eliminate and reduce, and there's a hiring freeze. And on another day, they're hearing expand services, which will cause your budget to increase, and please hire another person. I don't think it's fair to expect the staff to decipher these mixed messages. We already instructed the Animal Services Department to go through the exercise of reducing their budget. I know there are some citizens who feel very strongly about the TNR program, and I hope they won't be bitterly disappointed in my decision at this time. I really do appreciate their enthusiasm for animal welfare. I know that some of my fellow council members feel strongly about this grant. I know some of you have been involved with the Animal Shelter Board, some of you have been on Friends of the Animal Shelter, and I know you're concerned about animals, and I don't fault you for that. I think it's a valiant cause. We just have to recognize that this particular issue requires money, and it requires additional tax dollars. I've heard the argument that a reduction in the intake of cats could ultimately help to offset the cost of the program in part, but there's absolutely no way that it will entirely cover the cost. The Animal Services staff has stated that this will require an increase in the amount of tax dollars that they need. I know that there might be some staff that could be disappointed if the TNR program isn't implemented right away. The amount of cats is a challenge for them, for sure. And I hope that they understand that I do have concern for the staff and how this affects them. And I want the staff and the citizens and my fellow council members to know that I'm willing to look at this again in the future. But right now, I don't think we can proceed for the 3 reasons I mentioned: the context of the worldwide pandemic, the confusing or conflicting messages that we might be sending to the animal shelter staff, and concerns that many citizens have about their tax bills. So for that reason, I cannot support this agenda item at this time, and I would just, I guess, implore the council that has previously been in support of it to maybe reconsider moving forward with this memorandum.
Claudia has something to say.
I actually agree with everything that Councilwoman Adamson, President Adamson, just said. My concern with the verbiage of this is that when this was presented to us weeks back, I never heard anybody say that accepting this grant was going to include us having to hire another person. And that
I've always
is
said that.
now added in there. And that I wouldn't have supported it then if that had been made clear. We were told we were accepting a $50,000 grant and that the city would have to come up with $64,000 for the process of TNR. At no point in time were we told that it was going to require hiring another person with a salary and benefits. So I'm very confused by this agenda item, and at this point, the way it reads, I'm not going to support it.
Mr. Mayor, could I comment?
Sure, yes.
Oh, sorry, couldn't hear you. I wanted to make a couple of comments, mainly to what Heidi said, but I will also just clarify with Claudia's comment. That position was always included in what was presented to us. When the animal shelter, when Animal Services came and made their presentation on what they were estimating the total cost to be, that estimate included a person. That's mainly what that 64, because it was actually $114,000. So the 64 comes from the 114 minus the 50 for the grant. And the main part of that was to hire somebody. That was in their estimate that they presented to us. So to me, that was always the understanding of what that was going to be spent on. But to go to Heidi's comments, I appreciate what you're saying, Heidi, but I would respectfully disagree with it. One thing, as far as the mixed messages, some council members have asked for a hiring freeze and asked for us to consider that idea, but that was a discussion point. It hasn't been decided that we're doing that, or how that would work. So I don't agree that we've really been sending mixed messages, because we've just been sort of talking about that idea, but had not agreed to do that. So I think that this is a problem that isn't going away. I agree that we are in an unprecedented time right now with the pandemic. This is a crisis, and we can't make light of that. But the cats don't know that. And, you know, we have a cat problem that isn't going away. Our opportunity to get this grant will go away. So to me, we have a chance to get some money to start addressing this problem. And no one else has presented any other solution to this problem other than, you know, either taking this grant and doing the TNR program, or doing nothing. Doing nothing doesn't address the problem, and the problem gets worse. So I'm very much in favor of accepting this grant, because I think we will lose it. And then eventually we'll have to do something anyway, because this problem will just continue to get worse. So I think that we have to move forward on this.
Okay, Claudia?
Well, here's my thing. If the $50,000 is going to cover the neutering and the re-releasing and the trapping and all of that, why can't the current staff handle it? Why do we need another person to do that? I mean, right now, the animal shelter is run by the chief of police. Then we have Captain Ron. Then we have Josh. And then there's another supervisor under Josh. And so we've got a lot of administrators already. Why can't this be done by the people we already have? And then the $50,000 will cover the process, and we can neuter cats.
Okay, we've got a comment from Heidi, and then eventually I'll weigh in on this, but Heidi, go ahead.
Well, my comment was actually going to be to ask you, Mr. Mayor, if you would share with us some of the minutes. We've got our city clerk here, and we've got the mayor has got some of the records of our previous meetings. I know we did discuss that this would require an additional person, and I guess my intention is not to make us rehash what we've already discussed at length in previous meetings. So I was hoping the mayor could share that with us.
So, sure.
I think you just muted.
There we go. I can appreciate everybody's desire to have the discussion. So on February 13th, 2020, the city council work session, we had this discussion. And in the minutes, it says, in response to questions from council, Mr. Knapp anticipates the need for one full-time position to run the program. The position would need to be dedicated to run the program and not have the responsibilities fall on other animal shelter staff. Educating the public about the program would also need to be done. Then Council President Adamson announced that we would have a TNR program would be discussed at further depth on the February 20 work session meeting. And so I pulled those minutes, and the February 20 work session, it says TNR grant update, verifying the actual cost and potential benefits of the program was discussed. Council shared their concerns about the program and being able to meet the program's minimum requirements. Ron Knapp, Animal Shelter Interim Director, and Josh Hines, Animal Shelter Manager, were available to answer the council's questions regarding cost to run the feral cat program. General discussion, the pros and cons of the proposed TNR program were continued. It was determined a memorandum of understanding with Best Friends Animal Society to assist the TNR program would be considered at the March 19th, 2020 council meeting. As we know, March 19th, we did not have that meeting, and because of this, I believe, or no, it was not considered then because we did not have the agreement back from Best Friends, and because we didn't have it back from Best Friends, we didn't have it on the meeting. There has been comments that this has been on my desk with approval from the council that just needs to be signed, and I, as the mayor, have not signed it for some reason. That couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is we just got this back, the agreement, on Monday or on Friday, and so we knew we were getting that agreement, so it ended up on the agenda as soon as it got put on the agenda. The MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, let me just go over that very quickly. On the Pocatello Animal Services responsibilities, it's very clear. There's 10 expectations. Number 10, provide a full benefits package to the CCP coordinator, estimated at $56,000 per year. So it was definitely discussed about needing another person. There was no question there. It was discussed a number of times about needing another person. And then it came out in the Memorandum of Understanding for us to consider tonight. And there's been a lot of talk about the mayor holding it on his desk and not signing it, which just quite frankly is ludicrous. It couldn't be further from the truth, but those things are, that's what's in the record. That's what is there. And so I don't know how you want to proceed with this.
Mr. Mayor?
Woman Stevens.
First of all, I want to support a number of comments that Councilwoman Lorick made. I think there is a real difference between discussing something and deciding something. I think she's absolutely correct about that. And there was discussion and comment by Captain Knapp, for example, that we would need another person. However, I think it's fair to say that it's quite common knowledge that the animal shelter has been struggling administratively for some time. There is not a clearly defined administrative structure there. And I think it is premature to assume simply because someone associated with the administration of the animal shelter states that it's going to take another full-time person, that is then assumed to be fact. The reality is that we can't do anything if I'm in favor of accepting this grant. We cannot do anything until at least May 1st because of the governor's extension of the current social situation. It will take at least 4 weeks, probably 8, to figure out how we want to structure this program. That puts us at the end of July. We have a current open position at the animal shelter, and the basic administrative supervisory structure at the animal shelter has changed. We now have, as Councilwoman Ortega mentioned, now we have Captain Shy, who has the overall supervision because animal shelter is under the police department. Then we have Captain Knapp, who continues to be involved. And then we have an animal shelter director. We also have a half-time volunteer coordinator. So I believe that as we look at restructuring, Chief Shy has said that one of his goals for the animal shelter this summer is to create a long-range plan to look at how it's structured and really get that organization, that part of our city, really organized and running as it should be. So I believe that we will be able to come at least very close to funding the administrative aspects and the operational aspects of the TNR program within the current budget without assuming that we have to add a person. So I am in favor of accepting this grant for all the reasons that Councilwoman Lorick enumerated, and then working to have it happen within the current administrative structure we have.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to Heidi, but before we go to Council President Adamson, I just want to be very clear that it is stated that the animal shelter is struggling and has been struggling administratively. That was over a year ago, by the way, and Captain Knapp came in, straightened it up, cleaned it up, got processes in order, and has moved that forward. And all of those processes are still in line, and Josh is making sure that we still follow those. So Chief Shy is over the police department. The animal shelter falls under the police department, but does not report directly to Chief Shy. It reports to Captain Knapp, who is over that division in the police department. And then it goes from there to Josh. And so with that being said, there's definitely a clear line of authority that needs to be followed. And quite frankly, the animal shelter is being run today probably better than it arguably ever has. But that being said, we still have this agenda item, and Council President Adamson had something to say.
Yeah, my comment was that I have heard nothing but compliments from people about the way the animal shelter has turned around. And can you hear me okay? Okay, I'm hearing feedback. And lots of compliments about Captain Knapp and about Josh. And so I think that they need to be commended for that good job that they are doing with the animal shelter. I also believe that we need to trust our staff who are experts that work there every day. When they say we cannot absorb this into our budget, we would have to hire another person. They are the experts, and they are the ones who know if they can or if they can't. And so I think we need to remember that. I'm not upset. You know, Linda and Chris, I know you feel strongly about proceeding with this, and I'm not mad at you about it. I don't fault you for it. I don't want you to be mad at me about it. I'm totally okay with you voting to proceed with it. I just want to make sure that it's very clear that voting to proceed with it is a vote to increase the amount of tax dollars we will be taking, because that's what the staff says, and they are the experts.
Mr. Mayor, can I add one point to that?
We'll go with Councilwoman Lyric and then Councilwoman Stevens.
Okay. I did just want to clarify one thing with regard to Councilwoman Stevens' comments, but it's also related to what Heidi just said about trusting our staff when they make recommendations about what they think they would need to make this program work. In the work session presentation, they presented in a PowerPoint form a budget, a cost estimate, and that included hiring somebody. That's where the $114,000 came from. So it wasn't just Captain Knapp suggesting that might be something we would need. That was a presentation from Josh Hines and Captain Knapp with a cost estimate included. So I just wanted to clarify that point. And I think they know best about what they can and can't absorb and how this would work. So I trust their knowledge on that.
Councilwoman Stevens.
Yes, I continue to be a data-driven decision maker, which means that I want to see the facts and figures and the organizational structure data that demonstrates beyond a shadow of a doubt that the way we are doing things now is the only conceivable effective way to do them. The second thing is, I just want to point out that we have once again fallen into a discussion pattern that is becoming quite typical of this council, which is to unspokenly assume that discussing an important city issue straightforwardly somehow is casting aspersions on staff. That is not true. That is not my intention. But I believe that careful examination of an organization by its governing entities is important, and simply assuming that because someone says something is needed with no data supporting it, with no program in place to demonstrate that that is true, is not a responsible way to govern and make decisions.
I agree.
I can appreciate that, but from the notes and everything that have been taken and the minutes from meetings, it's definitely been data driven, this
No.
TNR program. So I would like to get us back to item G, which is the TNR program. What we would like to do with that. I don't think that we can change the MOU. I think the MOU is what has been presented. The MOU has been given to us by best friends. We've looked at it. We've done what the council has directed us to do. So at this point, I guess I'm looking for a motion to either vote the item G, the TNR program, up or down.
Mr. Mayor?
We have a Council President Adamson, and then we'll go to someone else if needs be.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make the comment that I believe the changes at the animal shelter and the restructuring that has occurred is a good example of you and of the city not doing things in the same old way that they have been done in the past. And so I think that's a good and positive change that has been made. I've already kind of gone over my reasons for the way I feel, and so I would move that we do not approve the memorandum with best friends at this time.
Second.
So we have a motion by Adamson and a second by Cheatham. And it looks like we have some comments. Ortega.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I guess I'm confused. So Best Friends is demanding that we hire somebody in order to get this grant? Or is this the experts at the animal shelter saying they need another person? I'm confused as to who's saying that we have to hire another person.
So we'll get to Council President Adamson in a minute, but my understanding is our animal shelter people at the time, Captain Knapp and Josh Hines, they have were working with Best Friends. That's why they represented in the meeting in February, let me see, let me get my paperwork, February 13th, that we would need to have a full-time person to do this. And then the MOU has gone back and forth between the city and Best Friends a number of times. And the Best Friends has now got us the MOU back finally from everything and accepted the changes that have been that we've asked for, and they've worked with the city to get this done. And so it's might be a combination of both, but I'm confident that the animal shelter definitely knew that we would need to financially support this this agreement or the MOU. And this is a 1-year MOU. They have been told that it will happen for a second year, but in year 3, it may be all on the city to handle that. They may have the grant for the 3rd year, but they may not. So I think this is a combination of both.
So back in February, that was before this whole pandemic thing started. And I personally didn't think it was clear that we had to have another person hired. So, but even if it had been made clear then, the situation is very different now. So has Captain Knapp and Josh Hines, have they looked at this? If they're passionate about this TNR program, are they absolutely certain that they cannot do it with the $50,000 grant without hiring another person?
So in the MOU that everybody has received the MOU, it states best friend's responsibility. Number 3, fund the salary of one full-time dedicated CCP coordinator for 12 consecutive months, starting May 1, 2020 and ending May 1, 2021. At Pocatello Animal Services coordinator will be a Pocatello Animal Services employee. I got $35,000 for that salary for that. And then they have $15,000 for the cats to be able to be, let's see, it says 15 surgical and vaccine for cost for 300 community cats at $50 a cat for $15 or for $15,000. And then at the end of it, as you've looked at agenda item or on the responsibility of the city, number 10, it says provide a full benefits package to CCP coordinator estimated at $56,000 a year. And so the MOU is clear what Best Friends is looking for. The MOU is clear what the city is responsible for. It was represented at the meeting in February that it was part of the issue would be having somebody be hired from the city that the city pays for. I remember that discussion. It's a concern because you've got $50,000 to take care of a problem, but we also have a tax thing that we've got to worry about as well. And so that's why that discussion was there. I also know that this pandemic was happening and occurring the 1st of February, in February, not to the point it is right now in the state of Idaho, but it was definitely there and it was happening. I know that because the middle of February is when I was back east when it started to fall apart, and came back to this, and that was definitely in February, about this same time that we've had these meetings. So Chris, you had something, and then Council President Adamson.
Yeah, I don't think this is a problem because we have an open vacant position at the animal shelter. We already pay benefits for that position. And I believe that as we look carefully at how to organize the flow chart of duties up there, that we can absorb TNR using the vacant position we currently have, because I am not convinced that it is going to take a full-time position. I also believe, given the number of employees up there, that we're administratively heavy. I don't know that we need 2 essentially director supervisor positions in addition to Captain Knapp in order to supervise the employees that are up there. So I really don't think funding the employee who will be able to manage this program is a particularly difficult situation. What is the fiscal year of this grant, by the way? When does the fiscal year, if we accept it, when does the fiscal year for those monies begin and end?
What we would need to do for fiscal year end is our fiscal year is October 1 to September 30. So we would need to, the salary from now to October would be, we would find it in this year, which you pointed out that there is available money because we do not have the shelter manager right now. So we could find some money there, and then But then moving forward from October 1 to the next October, we would have to have it budgeted for this position.
So that's perfect, because then in the budgeting process for next year, which we're engaged in now, we look at that, we have staff work through it, and, so I don't think this is a problem. We can fund it from now until the beginning of October, and we are currently in the budgeting process, which will enable the animal shelter to determine how they can cover this without having to necessarily hire an entirely new person.
So, Council President, we're going to get to you, I promise. But this MOU goes from May 1, 2020 to May 1, 2021. And so we will, if we accept this, we have got to find a way to fund it at least up to May 1, 2021.
Right, and that's my point, that we currently have an open position, which will take us to October 1, and we will have a new budget beginning October 1. So that gives us a period of time where we can carefully plan and look at how to fund this, because I believe that it's possible to do it without just accepting at face value the fact that we have a new program, so therefore we need another new person. I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. I'm in support of this because I think there are ways to handle the staffing without increasing positions.
Okay, Council President Adamson.
Okay, just to further clarify, the question that was asked earlier about, do we know for sure that we would need to hire an additional person? When the representative from Best Friends was here, we were discussing that there would be additional costs beyond the $50,000 grant that the city would have to incur. So there was no question. The Best Friends representative agreed with that and agreed with our staff that it would be required of the city to fund this in addition to the grant. Furthermore, the grant does not go forever. So we might get it for 1 or 2 years, but after that, the grant goes away, and then the city has to fund the whole entire thing out of taxpayer dollars. So it's very clear that this program, and I'm not upset if people like the program. I'm not trying to be negative about that, but it is very clear that this program will cost money and will result in an increase in the tax dollars the city needs to take.
Could I comment
Linda,
on that?
Go ahead, and then I'm going to call the roll. So, Linda?
Okay, I totally agree with you, Heidi. That is how it was presented to us, and that is correct. But sorry. Never mind.
Mr. Mayor, I've been trying to get in for a long time.
Yeah. Roger, you disappeared on my screen. I don't know where you are.
I can see all of you on my screen and myself.
Okay, well, go ahead then.
Okay. There are a couple things that I think we need to realize. First of all, they have cut their expectations from 600 cats to 300 cats. It was always 600 cats until this MOU came out. We haven't seen this MOU. I don't know that we committed to the details of how we would fund this. We committed to developing a relationship with them that we could format. We had it, it was very transitory. We hadn't seen anything of that MOU until this came out. I'm all for it, but I think that you look at finding the
MOUs
efficiencies
attached.
that would help it carry forward.
Roger, I don't know if you didn't get the
No,
attachment.
I didn't see it.
is attached. It was
No.
sent out with the.
I know,
the
but I'm saying that the MOU was not part of a discussion until tonight. This is the first time we discussed MOU about it in theory. Had it for the MOU and hypothetical situations, but we have not had it. We were told when we met them that we would have 600 cats that we would have to take care of in a year. They dropped it to 300. Gives us some way.
Roger's breaking up. I can't hear anything.
So what Roger's
And a
saying,
fish,
and Roger, if I may, I'll try to reiterate because I could hear it, but it was breaking up a little bit. We had not had a
look at
discussion.
ourselves.
We had not had a discussion on the MOU. However, before tonight and before the MOU was there, the expectation was 600 cats, and they've reduced that to 300 cats. And then he said that he's also in support of it. And Roger, I can't remember the rest of it that you had said.
I also said, I think because they dropped it from 600 to 300, there are efficiencies we can look at.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. With that, we have a motion to deny this request. The motion was by Adamson, seconded by Cheatham. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Adamson?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Gray?
No,
Lurick?
No.
Ortega?
No.
Stevens? Okay. Do we entertain another motion then?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Linda?
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding and authorize the mayor to sign it and related documents, subject to legal department review. Between the city of Pocatello and Best Friends for the $50,000 grant to implement the TNR program. Sorry.
Second,
Okay, so we have a motion by Lurick and a second by Stevens. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Lurick?
Yes.
Stevens?
yes.
Adamson?
No.
Gray? Gray?
Roger, you're muted.
Can you see him?
He's blurry.
Roger, I can't hear you. Anyone?
So let's jump Roger
Okay,
and we'll come back.
we'll come back to him. Cheatham?
No.
Ortega? Ortega? Is she still on Chris's phone?
Chris, have you still got? Chris, have you still got Claudia?
Let me try to get her back.
Oh, okay. Do we have Ray?
Yes.
Claudia is in.
Okay.
Yes.
That is yes.
Oh,
Ray.
yes.
Do we have Ray?
I don't see Roger.
Oh, he just showed up.
Okay, Roger.
Do you have him?
He just showed up.
Do you want me to call him too?
Let me try to get one call.
Okay,
Do you want me to call Roger?
no, she's got Ortega on the line,
I
doesn't she?
will, I'll give Roger a call right now.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Roger, we lost.
This is a terrible meeting tonight.
Yes, it is. Anyway, that being said, the question has been asked for you, a yes or a no?
I don't know what the question.
So this is we had a motion by Lyric and a second by Stevens to accept the grant, MOU.
I'd say go forward.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed.
Okay, thank you. The motion passed. Roger, I'm gonna keep you on the line here.
I don't know, did it,
You-
Okay, so the motion passed. So now let's go and talk about agenda item H, which was the agreement for dog kennels concrete project. Chris, Rick, you have a question?
Yes, there seemed to be a disagreement. The item H says $5,000. Documentation we were provided says $8,500. So I'm wondering exactly where we're at on this.
I think that's what Chris is going to explain real quick.
yeah. So the Friends of the Animal Shelter received money to buy $5,000 worth of animal food. And so they donated that $5,000 or the food to the animal shelter with the understanding that the animal shelter would then use the $5,000 that was freed up because of the grant to fund the first $5,000 of the concrete flooring. To the best of my knowledge, the Friends were very supportive then of paying the remaining $3,808 or whatever. So that's why the full, you're absolutely correct, Rick, that the full amount is the 8303. This 5,000 is coming from the animal shelter, but it's going to be freed up by a grant. And we haven't had a meeting at the Friends for a while, obviously, but at last check, the Friends was very supportive of supplying the remaining 3,808.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think we should postpone this decision until we see that agreement in writing. So we know exactly where that other money is going to come from and get a firm commitment on it.
Yeah, 773 pound and then 50 pound for your audio. It will ask for both of those. So 50, after you do the access code, 50 pound will be the audio so you can speak and you can be on the air then. Okay, give that a shot. Thank you. Okay, Rick, I'm sorry, Rick.
A
What?
little distracted there. What I was trying to say was I think this item H on our consent agenda is something we should postpone a decision on until we see a firm commitment for the balance of the money that Chris is discussing, that the Friends are talking about contributing.
Okay, Chris, is that an issue, Chris, or? No, I can't hear you.
No, I think that Rick is exactly right. I mean, I think it's been so long since bits and pieces of this were discussed that I think we need to pull it all together, under one heading so that everybody can understand clearly. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
I know that Josh is on the line or on the meeting somewhere out there. Do you want to try to get an explanation of this, or do you want to just wait until we can see it all in writing?
Mr. Mayor, I would
Yes.
make a motion that we postpone a decision on item H until we have firm agreements for all of the money required in the agreement between the city and AG Concrete.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Ortega. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Get my mic. Cheatham,
Yes.
Ortega,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray. Bray,
Let's move on and then we'll see if he gets
okay, Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Bray, were you able to get on? I see Councilmember Bray's picture, but I'm not sure if he was able to call in. Did you hear, Councilmember Bray, did you hear the motion? So you're muted. Okay. So Councilmember Bray, the motion was
No.
it was to postpone a decision on H, the concrete for the kennels and the animal shelter. We have a vote. So far, everybody has been in favor of postponing that. I think you just said I postponed.
I will
it.
vote to postpone.
Okay, perfect. He's a yes.
Mr. Mayor,
We have Councilwoman Stevens.
is it all right with you? I'm happy to work with the Friends and legal and whomever, to organize getting the paperwork needed on their end pulled together. Is that acceptable?
I think during the next meeting with Friends that can be discussed, and by all means they can get it to Josh and have Josh get that to us, and should be in good shape. I would assume that we can get this and get all the information for the next meeting, May 7, I believe. And so we can,
Okay.
let's do that. If you just want to make sure that happens at that next meeting, we'll be in good shape.
Okay, I'll work with Josh.
Okay,
Thanks.
as the liaison, I think we could do that. Okay,
I think we just set the record for the longest consent agenda ever.
there's no question. That's all right. We had a lot to discuss during that. So we will move on to agenda item number 4 is communication and proclamations. We do not have any communications or proclamations, and so we'll move to agenda item number 5, which is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. Now, okay, there it is. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, meeting guidelines, all scheduled meetings will be held through live streaming until further notice. Hopefully it happens sooner than later so we don't go through this mess again. That being said, April 23, 9 a.m. will be a budget development meeting. May 7 at 9 a.m. will be a budget development meeting. May 7 at 5:30 p.m. will be a clarification meeting. May 7 at 6 p.m. will be a regular council meeting. May 14 at 9 a.m. will be a work session followed by a budget meeting. Other events, as a reminder, Annual spring cleanup at the city cemeteries continues. Crews are removing and discarding all flowers and decorations. Cleanup is expected to continue through the end of April. Governor Little's COVID-19 stay-at-home order continues through April 30th. There will be limited access to city facilities and City Hall until the order is lifted. So please, we would encourage everybody to abide by that order so that we can get this taken care of the 1st of May. With that said, we will move to agenda item number 6, child care license denial, Murdoch. Jenny Murdoch is appealing the decision by police department staff which denied Ms. Murdoch a child care license. Janae.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Janae Perman, licensing. After careful consideration, the Pocatello Police Department denied Jenny Murdoch a child care license. In fact, she was found guilty for possession of a controlled substance in 2010, and she failed to disclose a separate 2007 conviction, drug paraphernalia use or possess with intent to use on her application.
Janae, the second offense that she failed to permit was 2007?
That is correct.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Janae?
I'm sorry, Janae, you were breaking up a little bit. So she didn't disclose this?
That's correct. The second conviction she didn't disclose on the application.
Okay.
Any other questions for Janae? Okay, we have Jenny, Miss Murdoch here. Miss Murdoch, you want to go ahead and talk to the council about this and go from there? Jenny, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, did
Okay, Jenny, I'm not hearing you at all.
Could we possibly have IT look into a different platform for these meetings?
I think what's happening is the bandwidth outside of City Hall is the issue, not the meeting itself.
Yeah.
Oh, there's too many of us having issues.
I don't disagree with that. Jenny, have you been able to get back on the line? Do we have a contact number for Jenny?
Oh, for God's sake.
I do. Let me see if I can contact her via the phone.
Thank you.
hello.
Jenny,
Yes.
hey, we lost you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get logged back in. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay, bear with me just a second. Keep on speakerphone. Are you guys able to hear her?
Yes, it looks like we can hear her now. Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and speak up, Jenny, so they can hear you clearly and just kind of explain your side.
Okay. I guess I just want to say that I know that I have made some mistakes, and I don't want to try to make excuses for them. But I do want to say that I no longer am associated with people that I was associated with during the time of charges. I mean, a lot of things changed. I've gotten married. I have an 8-year-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, and I am in the process of trying to get back to school at ISU to work on a bachelor's in sociology with criminology. And part of that was finding a job and working with the short period of time I was able to work at Whoville. It was enjoyable, even though it was stressful, and but it's also where my kids go to daycare, and so it was just it was a really good fit there. Hoping to be able to go back.
Okay. Jenny, you broke up quite a bit in there, but I think I got quite a bit of it. But Councilwoman Stevens has a question for you, I believe.
Well, this might be a question for Janae also. I just have noticed in meetings, council meetings in which I have sat prior to being sworn in and now again, that for whatever reason, it seems that people frequently, for whatever reason, fail to disclose previous issues and convictions. And I just want to make sure that our application's clear, right? I mean, it's a straightforward question, right?
Janae, were you able to hear that?
Do you like me to read the application size? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the question was is it clear on the application about the need to disclose, and how far back is the need to disclose, and is it a clear application? Councilwoman Stevens noticed before she was sworn in, and then since she's been sworn in, that oftentimes people are leaving this off the applications. Is it very clear to them, or why do we keep having people leave these things off?
Jenny, could you hear that question?
It was for me or for you, sorry.
Why don't you go ahead and answer it first and
Okay, I believe it's very clear about within the for me criminal charges was I honestly I don't even know how I forgot from 2007. I guess it just slipped, or you know, I have no excuse for that. So.
and I'm able to read the question on the app. So it says, have you ever been convicted of? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Janae.
Okay, so it says, have you ever been convicted of pled guilty to, or admitted to any violation or criminal law or had a withheld judgment for any crime committed. If you have dates, violation, and locations. And it does specify, have you ever?
So it looks like it's fairly clear, a straightforward question, Councilwoman Stevens. So,
Thank you.
okay, yep. Is there any other questions for either Ms. Murdoch or Janae? Councilman Cheatham.
I'd like to ask Ms. Murdoch, these offenses are a number of years ago. I'm just wondering if you were required to pass a drug test tomorrow, could you?
Janae, could you ask that question to her?
Go ahead and speak a little louder, Jenny.
Yes, I could.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Murdoch? Okay, council, this item's before you. With no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Ryan?
Councilmember Cheatham.
I'm normally pretty hard on drug offenses when it comes to childcare. But I think these are old enough, 10 and 13 years old, that it appears Jenny has tried to put her life back together. She has a family, she's married, circumstances are different. I am going to reluctantly move that we grant the appeal for the child care license, as in item 6 on our agenda.
I will second.
Okay.
May I ask Janae a question? Or is it?
Absolutely. We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Lyric. We have a question by Council President Adamson. Janae.
Janae, do you have any concerns? You go into much more of a in-depth review than just the quick summary that you were able to give us here tonight. If we were to proceed with the motion and grant the request, what concerns would you have?
I don't know if I would feel well saying I would have any concerns. However, with Ms. Murdoch's history, I did not find anything else other than what is stated. Criminal issues, criminal convictions, anything of that nature.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, with that, Ruth, could you please call the roll? So let me just repeat. We have a motion by Cheatham, a second by Lyric to approve the appeal for Ms. Murdoch. Could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
That was a yes.
that was, okay, because I can't see him. Ortega,
No.
No.
Yes.
Stevens,
No.
Okay. Thank you. The motion passes. So we'll move on.
Okay,
Yes, I know.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm gonna,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna be, I'm gonna be hanging up. Because I'm only getting like every other word and, this is just a nightmare. So you guys have a quorum. So you don't need me. We're gonna have to figure out a different way to do this because this is just too painful.
Claudia, I think that our next agenda item might not be the same. It's an issue with the person who is talking. If they don't have the internet speed on their end, then there's a lag. So,
Well, but I mean, I can't hear Roger. I can't hear
I can't hear any, I mean, this is a mess. I really would encourage IT to find a different platform or something that can accommodate us doing this, because this isn't working well.
Okay, we do have a quorum. I'll talk to IT. I've talked to them in the past, and the issue is internet speeds on the other end outside of City Hall, and so. But we'll go ahead. We have a quorum. We can move forward.
you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 7 is a public hearing. Vacation of right-of-way on Apex Road. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a request by Bill Isley to vacate the public's interest in the right-of-way near the east corner of Center Street and Apex Road. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the request with conditions. I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Isley. Oh,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. But before you go, double check, is there a communication for this agenda item? Doesn't look like it. So, Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to commend you for working through this. It's been painful to watch, but I'm sure it's more painful for you guys. What I'm doing is I'm requesting a vacation of a small portion of Apex Road. It falls between two pieces that have already been vacated. I sent one document, this one, Ruth said she was going to get it out to you. I hope she did. It just helps to clarify. It points out the very small piece that we're vacating or asking to vacate, and it shows in blue the that is the new alignment of Apex if it's ever built. And I suspect that Apex will never ever be built. But if it is built, there is a new alignment. In the past, the city has vacated part of Apex when we put the Tuscany Heights subdivision in, and also they vacated the large portion that goes through the rest of the property that is shown by the dotted red lines. I believe that everybody is in agreement with it. So I would have any questions I can answer if you have any.
Okay, council, any questions for Bill real quick? Rick?
Was the blue line where the new Apex is going to be, was that designed by you, Bill, or did that go through the engineering staff at the city?
That was presented to the city by Rocky Mountain Engineering on behalf of Tom Katz-Lamidis, because the city had requested that they had mentioned that they would vacate the old one, but they wanted to have an alignment in case the road ever was to be built. And that's where it came from.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Bill. We'll go to staff.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, this is Merrill Quayle, the Public Works Engineer, and Matt Lewis, the senior planner. Bill gave a really good overview, and in our memo, we have also outlined the details of this annex or vacation request, and staff is in favor of the request to approve. So if you have any questions, we can take some questions.
Okay, any questions you have for staff by chance?
I do,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at the staff report, and there was a recommendation from Planning and Zoning to approve with conditions. Are the conditions what's called considerations in the staff report?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because otherwise I wasn't seeing conditions, so I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions for staff? Okay, then we will move on. Merrill, have we had any other correspondence that's come in?
No, there is not, Mayor.
Okay. Then we would move to ask for anybody with testimony supporting the application. So, yeah, let me just make this announcement. If you are wanting to make comment on this agenda item, you'll need to make a phone call to 208-234-6283. I believe the number is on the screen as well. Anyone in support of the application?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Bill Isley, 4477 Laval Estrada. I'm made the application, but I just was doing this as kind of a sound test because on my end, the sound and the video is perfect. And I'm wondering if it's the same for you guys, because the first ones weren't, and it appears that maybe it was the telephones that were causing all the problems.
The sound, we're hearing the sound on this agenda item just fine right now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So,
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you. So if you are wanting to make a comment, you'll need to make a phone call to 208-234-6283. With that being said, I will look at any uncommitted to the application. We'll need to wait for a minute for somebody to call in if that's the case. Okay, then I would now look for any opposed to the application.
This feels like a PBS telethon.
It is. It is. So
I have this ring I'd like to sell.
With that being said, is there any other has not called in that would like to, regardless of support, uncommitted, or opposed? That's what I was afraid of that may happen. It's going to be difficult for these. That being said, I am not having anybody call in. And so I don't know if there's any reason for you to say anything else, Bill. If there is, you're sure welcome to take the floor for a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm fine.
Okay. With that, I declare the public hearing closed. Cancel this items before you. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Cheatham.
I'd move to approve agenda item number 7, I gotta scroll back up, vacation of the right-of-way on Apex Road.
With conditions.
With conditions?
With the conditions as proposed.
Okay.
Second.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Stevens. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Cheatham,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Lurick.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Bill, for participating.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item number 8 is public hearing McCormick and Hancock annexation. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a request to annex and zone 0.51 acres, more or less, of land located west of the future Trail Creek Estates, Division 4. The applicants are Ryan and Carol Hancock and McCormick Ranch LLC, represented by Rocky Mountain Engineering and Surveying. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions. I declare the public hearing open. Do we have Rocky Mountain Engineering on? Oh, I'm sorry. Has there been any ex parte contact?
No.
Seeing no's. Everybody nodding their head. So we would be looking for any representative of Rocky Mountain Engineering.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Mitchell Greer. I'm with Rocky Mountain Engineering, 600 East Oak in Pocatello. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight in this challenging time. I think we're all doing the best we can. One thing I noticed is we don't have a visual. I wasn't smart enough to print something like Bill did. But basically, all we're doing here, we've presented this Trail Creek Estates a number of times. I think there has been some concern that we were discussing Hancock annexation and McCormick annexation. Those are actually the applicants. This is related to the Trail Creek project. And really all we're doing is cleaning up some pieces as that went through foreclosure. There was some remnants that was bank owned that didn't get annexed in the original annexation back in 07. And so now we're just trying to clean that up, and then we're doing a little parcel trade with Mr. Hancock to square up some of the lots and things like that. So it's really only about a half an acre of that total project. Should be fairly simple. It'll make the project better all in all, and we just ask that you approve it. Hopefully you have at least a little bit of a display that you can look at, kind of see what we're talking about or what we're proposing to do there. I can answer questions if there are any.
Does anybody have any questions for Mitchell? Okay, then Carl.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Carl Anderson, City of Pocatello Planning and Development Services. As noted in the agenda and described by the applicant, you have before you for consideration an annexation request to annex and zone 0.51 acres of land west of Trail Creek Estates Division 4. The annexation request is in statutory compliance with Idaho Code as a Category A annexation, which allows annexation to take place wherein all private landowners have consented to annexation. The subject property is within the adopted area of city impact and lies contiguous to the city limits. As land is annexed, it shall be given a comprehensive plan and zoning designation. Per staff's analysis detailed in the staff report, a comprehensive plan, land use map designation of residential and zoning designation of residential low density is appropriate for the subject property and compatible with the adjacent zoning in the surrounding area. Following the public hearing on March 11th, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the annexation request with a zoning designation of residential low density and comprehensive plan land use map designation of residential with the conditions listed in the findings of fact. Their findings of fact have been submitted and are attached to the agenda packet. All notice and requirements have been met and no written public comment has been received. Following the public hearing, the council may wish to adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation and approve with conditions the applicant's request to annex the subject property. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Council, any questions for Carl? Okay, thank you. Once again, we will move into the testimony. If you would like to have speak on this subject, then please give us a call at 208-234-6283. With that, I would look for any testimony supporting the application. Okay, then I've just been told that there's about a 30-second delay between us and the live stream. So I'm not going to ask for people's support, uncommitted or opposed. I'm going to ask for anybody that would like to comment to please call at this time. Once again, 208-234-6283. Once again, anybody that would like to comment on this public hearing, agenda item number 8, please call 208-234-6283. Hearing no comments, nobody's called in. Mitch, I don't know if there's any reason for you to give a rebuttal on nothing. And so if you're okay with that, I'll go ahead and move to close the meeting. You okay, Mitch?
Yep, that sounds great.
Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, this item's before you. How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the, what we're calling McCormick and Hancock annexation. I guess it's correctly the Trail Creek annexation as proposed in agenda item number 8.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Lurick and a second by Cheatham. Ruth, could you
With
please-
conditions.
With conditions.
Yes, sorry.
Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Lurick,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes. We will move to agenda item 9, public hearing, planned unit development, Breezy Apartments. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a request by Jonathan Vincent of Gate City Builders, represented by Rocky Mountain Engineering and Surveying, to develop a planned unit development, PUD, to be called Breezy Apartments. The proposed PUD is located east of Philbin Road and south of Quinn Road. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the request with conditions. I declare the public hearing open. Council, has there been any ex parte communication?
No.
I've seen everybody nod their head no, so we'll move on. Mitch, I guess you're probably representing them.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. It'll actually be me, Brady Smith. I hope you guys can hear me okay.
Oh, Brady. Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening. Just want to say that I think the mayor may only be the only one remembering this project from some years ago, but it was actually originally brought through the city processes with Brandon Ratliff. We've kept the name that was presented back then, but one of the driving forces of what led us here is that it expired. It was entitled, and then for whatever the reasons,
back in 2015, the project just went on hold. And so now the project has come up. A new owner has worked in agreement with Brandon to purchase the project and basically stay fairly consistent with the idea that was presented in 2015 with some minor alterations. And I guess I'll go through those in a little bit more detail. But the project still is going to have the same amount of buildings that we had before. The big challenge here is that as the owner started looking at some of the demands out there, what's really popular right now, a 3-bedroom apartment or fourplex, whatever you want to call it, is a lot more appealing than a 2-bedroom. And in the previous version some years ago, there was kind of a mixture. There was some 3 bedrooms and some 2 bedrooms. And the goal here was to basically keep the same number of buildings, but basically give everybody a 3-bedroom option. So what that did was it increased the building sizes just a little bit. And we ended up, at the request of the developer, to try to facilitate that in a way that would still fit on the property as we have it and still stay pretty much in line with what we had before. So all that said, he also was in with the building department and had discussed an option to join some of the buildings with a 2-hour firewall, which I guess my understanding is acceptable. But the challenge is that we wanted to keep each unit on its own lot and do away with the side yard setbacks that were shown in the previous version of this some years ago. So that is kind of the big deviation that we're really wanting to bring to your attention that has changed since it was looked at before. That's kind of by design, and that's actually at the request of the developer. It still allows him the ability to, sell these to investors who may not be able to afford a whole entire, 18 buildings, but they could afford 2 or 3, something like that. It just makes it a lot more feasible in terms of the goals that he has with regards to that development. It will be a homeowner association project, and so no matter if it's one owner or multiple owners, they will all be required to adhere to the same, restrictive covenants and terms of, appearance, landscaping. So one building isn't going to look different than another. They're all going to be kind of a collective unit, and it will be upkept in that manner. So we've seen the conditions that was suggested by the Land Use Commission, and we don't have an issue with it. One of the ones I would draw your attention to that is probably a biggest concern that has came out through the process is that we have found an easement that lies along the east line of our project that is 15 feet wide and actually belongs to the Price family that lives just adjacent to us. And as you can see in the exhibits that are in your packet, our buildings are 10 foot off the line, which actually puts our buildings about 5 feet into that easement. That being said, the owner has verbally worked out an agreement with the adjacent landowner, who I'm hoping might be on the call tonight, that can verify or substantiate this. But I'm being told that has been at least verbally agreed to, for that easement to be amended to a 10-foot easement, and in lieu of them getting another sewer service, as well as a dedicated lot that they can actually leave their irrigation pump system and pond as is. So there's a little give and take there that will help our project move forward as proposed, and allow the property owner to the south to still have his needs met. So that's kind of the big ticket items I wanted to focus on. If I've missed something, I apologize, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, council, any questions that you have for Brady? Seeing none, then I would go ahead and ask Carl, are you?
I am. Good evening again. Carl Anderson, City of Pocatello Planning for the record. Before you have the planning and development to facilitate the subdivision of the Breezy Apartments submitted by Jonathan Vincent of Gate City Builders. The representative is Rocky Mountain Engineering and Surveying. The property is located east of Philbin Road and south of Quinn Road and encompasses 3.72 acres, more or less. This development will be accessed from Quinn Road. The proposed PUD is zoned residential high density. The subject PUD will be followed by a final plat application at a later date. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the property into 23 total lots, including 18 residential lots, and the remaining 5 of which will be is proposed to be dedicated as common area. The common area will provide for parking, open space, and stormwater retention. The RH zoning district requires a minimum lot size of 1,452 square feet per multifamily dwelling unit. Thus, 5,808 square feet is required outright per lot. The applicant is proposing to utilize lot size averaging for this development as allowed under the planned unit development process. As previously stated, the minimum lot size required is 5,808 square feet at 4 units per lot. The applicant is proposing a total of 18 fourplex apartment units, each on a separate lot, for a total of 72 dwelling units. Therefore, the total square footage required for the development as a whole is 104,544 square feet, and the total area within the project is 162,626 square feet. When taking the total lots of the subdivision into separate lots, when taking the total lots of the subdivision, including all common area, the minimum lot size is 6,364 square feet. Finally, if the project were not subdivided into separate lots and located on one parcel of land, the project would meet the minimum lot size requirement outright. As indicated by the applicant, it was identified during the application process that there is an easement along the eastmost property line. And I would like to draw your attention to condition 13 on the findings of fact, which currently states that the developer shall verify the existence of a potential easement along the easternmost property line and maintain the subject easement. At this time, I would recommend that the council would consider, should they recommend or should they wish to approve this application, amending that to allow for the applicant to work with the adjacent property owner on the size and location of that easement. Following the public hearing on March 11th, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the Breezy Apartments planning and development with conditions listed in the findings of fact. The Planning and Zoning Commission findings of fact have been submitted in our. All noticing requirements have been met, and as the executive summary in your packet, no written comment had been received. However, staff has taken some calls from members of the public. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Council, any questions for Carl? Okay, and Carl, you mentioned that we had no correspondence. Any other correspondence, right? Oh, it looks like we have a question for Councilmember Bray.
Carl, did I hear you right when you said that we should amend it to allow for the easement to be worked out?
I would recommend that should the council wish to approve the request, that the way the current condition 13 is stated, you may consider allowing the applicant to work with the adjacent property owner as far as the size and location of that easement. The alternative would be to leave condition 13 as it is currently written, requiring that the 15-foot easement remain on the plat when the final plat comes in. The impact that might have is that the project may need to be redesigned somewhat to remove those buildings from the encroaching within that easement.
So you're saying that it would be to their advantage to get it done?
To work with the adjacent property owner to move that, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Carl? Okay, then with that said, I will I would like to open it up for any comments relating to agenda item number 9, the Breezy, what is it? Breezy Apartments. Any comments related to that? Please call 208-234-6283.
But I have to say, it's a nice addition to see him put that crawl up on the screen and put that phone number up there for people to see.
Okay, so the phone number is out there, public, that they can look at it. So good. I'm looking at our attorney. I think we've been a minute and some time. Okay, with no calls coming in, there was a question, but it sounds to me like with the, depending on the motion, Brady, would you like to say anything about the question that was asked?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I think from our standpoint, it's just more the verbiage because it says that the developer shall verify the existence, which we've done. We know it's there. It's been verified, and we think we have a plan in place to amend it to work for both parties. So we're fine with it staying a condition, but just maybe the verbiage could be reflected to update it to where we're at now with the verification already taking place.
Okay. That being said, thank you very much. I declare the public hearing closed. Council, this item's before you. How do you wish to proceed? Councilmember Cheatham. Rick, you're muted. Rick, you're muted. There we go.
I was off and I turned it off. Mr. Mayor, I'd move for approval of agenda item number 9, the planned unit development of Breezy Apartments, as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and with the conditions as submitted, with the understanding that the developer has an easement agreement that needs to be worked out.
Second.
By Cheatham and a second by Stevens.
Oh, now I'm muted. So we have a motion by Cheatham, and a second by Stevens. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Let's mute and unmute. Yes. Cheatham?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Lurick?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We will, did you mute? Okay. All right, thank you. We will move to agenda item number 10, final plat, Riverside Green subdivision. David Bickley of Rocky Mountain Investing LLC, represented by Rocky Mountain Engineering and Surveying, has submitted an application for final plat to subdivide 4.49 acres, more or less, into 10 lots. The proposed name of the subdivision is Riverside Greens. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Bray.
I move that we approve the final plat with the conditions.
Second.
We have a motion by Bray and a second by Adamson. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Bray,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens,
Chris, you're muted.
Yes,
Stevens,
Yes.
yes,
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 11. Rescinding resolution 1998-10 to close school district number 25 development reimbursement. Council may wish to adopt a resolution rescinding resolution 1998-10 and closing school district number 25 development reimbursement, which requires that property owners adjacent to South Fifth Avenue and as provided in resolution 1998-10 who desires to connect to city sewer pay a special sewer connection fee. Resolution 1998-10 was requested by school district number 25 in May of 1998 for development reimbursement of construction of the Century High School sewer line. The resolution is in excess of 20 years old with no sunset clause provided.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question. Has the school district been apprised of this closure?
Yes, they have been.
And they're okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. In that instance, I would move for approval of agenda item number 11, the closure of the school district 25 development reimbursement.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Lurick. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Stevens,
yes.
Thank you. We will move to agenda item number 11, which is bid contract agreement Day Street Bus Stop Project. Council may wish to consider
Number
the
12.
recommendations of. What did I say? 11?
11.
Okay, I apologize. Agenda item number 12, bid contract agreement Day Street Bus Stop Project. Council may wish to consider the recommendations of staff for the following requests regarding the Day Street Bus Stop Project. A, accept the lowest responsive bid received on March 17, 2020 from Idaho Materials and Construction, IMC, in the amount of $54,500. And if the bid is accepted, B, authorize the mayor's execution of the contract agreement between the city of Pocatello and IMC in the amount of $54,500 for the Day Street Bus Stop Project, subject to legal department review. Funding for this project are from the following: 80% from Federal Transit Authority, FTA, and 20% local match from Housing Alliance and Community Partnership. Staff recommends approval of the project.
Mr. Mayor,
Roger.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve this project with items A and B stipulated to.
Second,
Thank you. I apologize, Councilman Bray. I called you Roger instead of Councilman Bray. I
That's fine.
apologize for that. But we have a motion by Bray and a second by Stevens. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Bray,
Yes.
Stevens,
yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Thank you. We will move to agenda item 13, consulting services agreement, water tank internal recoding project. Council may wish to approve a consulting services agreement with Corrosion Control Technologies for the following request related to Water Department's 5 million gallon water tank internal recoding project. A, task A, design and bid period services in the amount of $9,070. B, task B, construction services in the amount of $101,390. Task B is contingent and will only be rendered if the project is successfully bid and approved by the city council for fiscal year 2021. C, authorize the mayor's signature on the agreement subject to legal department review. Total fees for the project is $110,460. This project has been identified within the water department's 5-year capital improvement program with the recent utility rate study. Projected construction is planned for the beginning of fiscal year 2021.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Cheatham.
I'm wondering what the total estimate for this project is going to be, if this is just the supervision of the project.
So the total estimate looks like it will be $110,460.
But that's just the supervision of it. What's the project going to cost?
The total fees for the project is $110,460. This project has been identified within the 5-year department. So the $9,000, what they're asking for tonight is $9,070 for the design and bid period. And if that is accepted, they will get that going. And then in order for the other $101,000, $101,390 is anticipated for the total cost of doing the project, which would be only if council is approved for fiscal year 2021 expenditures.
Did I read this wrong then? When I read this proposal, was my understanding this is only for the supervisory portion of this project, not for the actual construction?
I think Justin's on the line here. Justin can probably answer that question.
Good.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Great. Well, good evening. Yeah, so this project right now is to begin the design and bid services. Sorry, let me back up to, this is Justin Armstrong. I'm the water superintendent. So yeah, the agreement with Corrosion Control Technologies before you tonight is for a 2-phase portion for a project that is being budgeted for fiscal year 2021. Task A is to begin services for design and the bid period so that we can bid this project over the summer months and hopefully begin construction beginning in October. The construction window for this project is roughly a 14-week period, and the timing of construction is very challenging due to peak demands and other things of that nature. And so we're asking that we begin on the design and bid services. For the construction project in itself, within the engineer's report, the preliminary inspection report that he conducted in May of 2019, he had anticipated a cost of approximately $500,029 or $529,000, sorry, for the project. And then the construction services would be the inspection, overseeing the blasting and recoating of the steel tank.
Did that answer your questions, Rick?
It did. I was wondering what the total project was going to be. So that basically we're looking at a $600,000 project, or almost $650,000, but by the time we're done.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Justin. Council Member Stevens.
Yeah, what are the implications if we don't do this now?
Justin?
Yeah, so the implications, the engineer recommended that we do this project in the next 3 years. That was a year ago. If we do not do this project, we will, the tank will further corrode. We do have cathodic protection in the tank. However, most of the corrosion is around the air ventilation in the upper roof panel and along the rafters. And so the corrosion period will begin to excel because the coating is no longer in place on some of the edges. And so it will begin accelerating and we will possibly experience a structural failure.
Okay, Councilwoman, you were gonna say something before and I cut you off, I think.
I was going to make a motion if we're ready.
I think go ahead and make a motion, and then if there's any other comments, we can go from there.
Okay. I move that we approve the consulting services agreement with Corrosion Control Technologies for tasks A and B as outlined, related to the water tank internal recoating project, and authorize the mayor's signature on the agreement subject to legal department review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Lurick and a second by Councilmember Bray. I did see Councilwoman Stevens raise her hand. Did you have another comment?
Well, I have another question. So let's say because of everything that's going on and et cetera, let's say that the rest of the money ends up not being approved. Will the work that has been paid for and done still be pertinent a year later when we have a better idea of how the land lies, maybe, and maybe a better fiscal situation?
Justin?
Yeah, so the project would only continue to bid preparation if we were to build that within the budget and that budget were approved. So naturally, task B would fall out of it if we go through the budget process and that project is eliminated.
But we wouldn't have wasted the money we spent on task A.
No, we would not. We would have a shelf-ready project. The specs would be written at that time, so there wouldn't be any money lost. We would just have to defer it to a later time and then work it into a schedule that would work as far as downtime on the tank and operationally.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Justin. So we have a motion by Lurick and a second by Bray. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to agenda item 14. ITD agreement, project development stage of South Fifth Avenue Safety Improvement Project. Council may wish to consider the following request regarding a state and local agreement with Idaho Transportation Department, ITD. A, approve a state and local agreement with ITD for the South Fifth Avenue Safety Improvement Project, project development phase. B, authorize the mayor to execute the state and local agreement and other documents related to the improvement project. And C, authorize the expenditure of $8,000, 7.34% city match from Fund 70. Let's see. Exclusion of the agreement is necessary to initiate the project. Execution of the agreement is necessary to initiate the project. Development phase of the project. Construction phase of the project is anticipated for fiscal year 2021 and will be under the separate agenda agreement. Council or total cost of the project is estimated to be $205,000. The remaining matching funds are estimated to be $7,047.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry, the Council President Adamson.
Mayor,
You guys can see her raising her arm.
Mayor, I move that we approve the agreement with ITD and that we authorize you to execute any necessary documents related to the project, and that we further authorize the expenditure for the city's portion of the match.
Second.
Thank
With a
you.
question.
We have a motion by Council President Adamson and a second by Cheatham, and we have a question by Cheatham.
Has this project been approved at the state level, or are we still in the approval process?
Jeff or Merrill, I believe, you're on the line.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Jeff Mansfield, Public Works Director. So this project has been approved, and these funds are dedicated to us and available for the project. Originally, the project was scheduled a couple years out, but we've had some pretty serious accidents at the intersection, and we were able to expedite this project a couple years quicker than we originally planned.
Good. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, seeing no questions, we have a motion by Council President Adamson and a second by Cheatham. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Adamson,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Bright,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 15, ratification of IFT Foundation grant application and acceptance. Portneuf Valley Partners Intersection Improvement Project. Council may wish to approve the following request related to a beautification project on state of Idaho property located at the intersection of North Main Extension, Garrett Way, Highway 30, and Hawthorne Road. A, ratify a $10,000 IFT Foundation grant application, which had a due date for submission of March 13, 2020. And if the grant is awarded, B, accept the acceptance of the grant and authorize the mayor's signature on documents related to the grant, subject to legal department review. There is no city match for the grant. Councilmember Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve agenda item number 15, the ratification of the IFT Foundation grant application and acceptance, if approved, and authorize your signature on all documents related to the grant, subject to legal department review.
Second.
So we have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Stevens. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bright,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 16, airport lease agreement, Frigitech Industrial Parks. Council may wish to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a lease agreement between the city and Frigitech Industrial Parks for a 20-acre parcel at the airport for the purpose of operating a cold storage facility and related services to support its tenants. The lease term will be 30 years with 2 10-year renewal options. The rental rate will be $6,480 per year with an annual consumer price index increase and an additional $6,000 per year added in years 5, 10, 15, and 20. The lease is subject to legal department review.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Councilwoman Lyric.
I move to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a lease agreement between the city and Frigitech Industrial Parks for the 20-acre parcel at the airport for the purpose of operating cold storage facility and related services, with the terms of the agreement as outlined in agenda item number 16.
Is that
Second.
for,
Second.
Is that for legal department review as well?
Yes, subject to legal department review.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion by Lyric and a second by Adamson. Ruth, could you please call the roll? Oh, hold on. We have a question by Stevens.
Yeah, and this is just because I'm relatively new to this. So I'm assuming that the CPI increases cover the fact that if for some reason the real estate value goes up, that the city is reimbursed appropriately?
The CPI is just an increase for the consumer price index annually. So
Right.
that will be it. And then the cities, the large numbers that you'll see is in year 5, 10, 15, and 20 within the contract.
Right, but does anything tie this to the actual value of the land?
The estimated value of the land with no services and really farmland for them to be able to develop that is what this value has been estimated at. They went through this a few years ago, and so that's been the value. And it is anticipated that as this industrial park grows, the next lots will be worth more because we'll have infrastructure. They need to put rail and water and sewer and roads and stuff in there. And so their contribution will literally be them adding that stuff in for the city. And so the value will increase in the other properties.
And so basically they'll never, they're sort of subsidizing, and we're assuming that the amount they pay is not going to go up, but the idea is that we will get value for the city because what they do then theoretically makes other people want to be there. I guess I'm just concerned because we're talking years.
So yes, the value of the property around them will go up because of the infrastructure. And then the city will see the increases in year 5. We believe it will be more valuable year 10, year 15, and year 20. And so when you hit year 20, you're looking at, what is that, 24,000
Right.
a year. And so that's where you see the value.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Adamson, or President Adamson.
Yeah, I just was wanting to note that this is a very exciting project. This is the kind of project that we're really excited about here at the city. This has the potential to bring jobs and increase tax base to our city, which is very helpful to us. That's how taxes go down for everyone, is building up our tax base. So we're very excited about that. I know maybe Council Member Cheatham or the mayor want to weigh in and add some additional thoughts on that, but because they've been involved with the Airport Commission and the mayor's been very involved in it, but I'm just really excited for this project.
Council Member Cheatham.
I have to echo what Heidi just said. You know, we've been working on this now for 2 years, and it's finally looking like we're going to get this thing off the ground and actually make it happen. And it has the potential to really be what's going to bring some serious development attention to our airport and all that, those thousands of acres of land out there that we can do something with and bring jobs to Power County and to Pocatello. And this could be the tipping point that really makes that take off. This company is international in scope. And when they do things, they're going to be noticed. And the project they're working on with a couple of other companies has the potential to absolutely be huge. This is an incredible opportunity for the city of Pocatello.
So I might just add the same thing. It's exciting to see. What I'm excited about is I think this is the start of where the airport can start paying for the airport, and we can start seeing revenues coming into the airport where the taxes for the airport can start being reduced. And it might take 20 years, but it gives us an opportunity to get that going, and we're actually started and we're going down that road. So I agree, it's an exciting project. And so That's a great question, Councilmember Stevens. Thank you very much for asking your question and for the comments. With that, I have our attorney for some reason wants to weigh in on things. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mary. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
The motion stated that it will be based on the terms as listed in the agenda. I would ask for maybe an amendment to that. The controlling terms in this instance are in the actual lease agreement. And I'm not saying that there would be a difference, but we need the record to be clear that that's where the terms are located, if that would be okay.
Thank you, Jared. I make that amendment.
Accepted.
Okay, that amendment's been accepted. So we have a motion by Lyric and a motion by Lyric and a second by Adamson. Rick
sorry.
accepts that. Wow, thanks,
Damn,
Rick.
I thought I did that one.
Thanks for accepting it. That being said,
Didn't mean to speak for you, Heidi. Sorry.
It's fine.
Are you okay with the second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Then with that, Ruth, could you please call the roll? Lyric and Adamson, yes.
It's hard to remember at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Lurick,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We will move to agenda item number 17, piggyback bids, public works projects. Council may wish to approve the following piggyback bids for the public works projects. A, piggybacking the City of Chubbuck's 2020 bid awarded to MS Development for ADA curb ramp replacements in the approximate sum of $77,075. B, piggybacking Power County contracts with Idaho Asphalt Supply Incorporated for 2020 sealing oils in the approximate amount of $37,923. And C, piggybacking the 2019 City of Pocatello contract with Valley Slurry Seal for 2020 microsurfing services in the approximate amount of $581,000. Council may wish to authorize the mayor's signature on documents related to the bids. These items are budgeted for the Street Operations Department fiscal year 2020 budget.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Okay, Councilman Bray?
We're piggybacking on a 2019 bid. We've heard about how expensive the asphalt has become because of changes, but we have a world crisis in terms of gas prices. They've fallen apart. And I'm wondering if we've looked to see what that effect might have on some of these paving costs now.
I believe we've got Tom or Jeff on the line. Maybe. Jeff or Tom?
Jeff is here, Public Works Director, City of Pocatello. I think Tom should be on the line.
Tom, maybe you need to unmute.
I know he's watching. Hope he's calling me. I'll answer right here.
Okay.
Are you there, Tom? Hello, Tom. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Can you hold me up there?
You are there.
Okay, Mayor and Council, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes. Kind of. Speak up.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yes, we have looked at that very closely. Crude prices are down, as we've seen, under $20 a barrel right now. Asphalt prices have really only fluctuated 1 to 2%. The asphalt's basically a byproduct of the crude oil. So we've looked at that, and last year when we put this out to bid, we only had one contractor bid for it. and we've reached out to multiple agencies, and no one was really interested in bidding this. Basically, the construction window is getting shorter because of the shutdown, and contractors are now turning away work. Does that answer your question?
Councilman Bray, does that answer your question?
Well, kind of, but I would think that there'd be a more than 1 or 2% fluctuation based on oil prices have declined by 60%.
Yes, sir. We follow what's called the asphalt oil index. And for the state of Idaho, we track Idaho and Utah. And the prices are down right now, basically 1 to 2%. Most of these asphalt suppliers have locked in their yearly allocation for oil in October before we really saw this big crunch happening. So most of the oil suppliers, the asphalt oil suppliers, are holding their price because they purchased it if there was a higher rate at that higher rate.
Councilman Cheatham, you're muted.
Dang it. Sorry. Roger, I drive a diesel truck, and I've been watching fuel prices really carefully. Gasoline prices in Pocatello today were $1.89. It's dropped 60 cents a gallon in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Diesel prices have dropped 14 cents. And I don't understand it. It's 80 cents a gallon more now for diesel fuel than it is for gasoline. And Tom and I talked about this yesterday, and it just doesn't make any sense, but it's the way it is.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the piggyback bids for public works projects A, B, and C, and authorize the mayor's signature on documents related to the bids.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilwoman Lyric and a second by Cheatham. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 18, sole source declaration, latex emulsion purchase. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of street operations staff and approve the purchase of GSB 88 2-to-1 latex emulsions from Asphalt Systems Incorporated to be a valid sole source expenditure for the city's 2020 summer paving program, and authorize the mayor to sign documents related to the purchase. The product is a trademarked material that no other company makes, and therefore is impractical or impossible to obtain 3 bids. The amount requested is 137.4 tons for a total purchase price of $119,369.50. FOB Salt Lake City, Utah. Councilwoman Stevens?
Yeah, this is just a question, and I would have asked during the clarification if we'd had it. So I'm assuming that this is a really top-notch product, and there's no other product that does the job that this does, and that's why we're in this one product, trademark, one supplier situation.
Yes, Councilwoman, can you hear me?
Yes,
So this product is actually very unique. It's a natural occurring oil that is mixed in with rock, and it's in Utah is the only place that you can find it other than like in Turkey or across the country or across the world. The nice thing about this is it's a rejuvenating oil, so it actually penetrates into the asphalt and rejuvenates, adds oil back into the asphalt. So it's a a preventative maintenance tool that we use. The other nice thing about this product is it's actually Green Circle certified because it's a naturally occurring oil that's mined. It doesn't have to go through the refining process. So it's a really good oil that no other company makes. It's actually trademarked by this company. Plus, it's a really environmentally friendly product.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cheatham.
I might ask Chris, if you wanted some interesting reading, Chris, look up the product. It's called Gilsonite, and it's only made in Utah. It's the only place in North America this stuff comes from. And Tom and I talked about it yesterday, and I did some reading, and it's an interesting reading to research Gilsonite.
You want to spell, is it N-I-G-H-T or I-T-E?
Gilsonite.
Thank you.
Gilsonite.
Thanks.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion. Councilmember Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor, I would move for approval of agenda item number 18, the sole source declaration of the latex emulsion purchase from Asphalt Systems Incorporated, and authorize the mayor to sign documents related to the city's summer paving program purchase.
Second.
We have a motion, a whole bunch, but we have Council President Adamson is here, and so she got it, I guess.
That's not fair.
I know, it's not fair at all. But it is what it is right now. So we have a motion by Cheatham and a second by Adamson. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 19 is an ordinance amending Pocatello Municipal Code Title 13, Chapter 16, Sanitary Sewer Regulations. Specifically by amending sections 13.16.090, separate sewers for each building, to correspond with established requirements for separate water lines, sections 13.16.80, sanitary sewer line users, to include a procedure to enforce the provisions of chapter 13.16, and by adding 13.16.230 violation penalty to establish violation penalties. Council, how do you wish this ordinance to be read? Councilman Bray.
Mr. Mayor, I move that ordinance agenda item number 19 be read only by title and placed on final passage for publication, and only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication, unless, since it's an ordinance, the whole thing has to be published.
Does the whole thing have to be, it doesn't look like it all has to be published, so we're good with that.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Bray and a second by Cheatham. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Bray,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Adamson,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Thank you. Jared, would you please read the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, amending Title 13, Chapter 16, Sanitary Sewer Regulations of the revised and compiled ordinances of the City of Pocatello, specifically amending Section 13.16.1 or .090, separate sewers for each building to correspond with the established requirements for separate water service lines, Section 13.16.180, sanitary sewer users, to include a procedure to enforce the provisions of this chapter, adding 13.16.230 violation penalty, to establish penalties for the violations of this chapter, and providing that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.
I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass?
Adamson,
Yes.
Bray,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending our meeting tonight. We only had one casualty, and so I think that was a success, actually, with all the technical difficulties that we've had and stuff. So thank you very much for being with us. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you. Oh, Chris.
Well, we can be adjourned. I just want to know, I had just let you know that the health department was fine with proceeding with the mural, so I'm assuming that's a go, but.
I was going to give you a call tomorrow and talk to you about that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.